Well, welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. Again, my name is Jeffrey Davis, getting ready for the fall season, back into two layers. If you haven't noticed, not that anyone has to look that closely at me, but we continue to stream stories every day of the year as to the new economy and how people are competing. And just so you don't know, I'm also a CEO of MAGE LLC management consulting firm since 1985, working with over 700 organizations and family businesses in transition. My next guest, Elizabeth Pampalone, owner and founder of Absolute Marketing. And she says she has the magic formula for marketing in this pandemic. Well, Elizabeth, throw it at us.
Thanks for having me. I so appreciate that.
Oh.
Yeah, so I actually help my clients to create 1 year of marketing content in 5 days. And it sounds like it's too good to be true, but I use it all the time with my clients and I use it for myself. So I kind of am like that hair club for men guy, like I'm also a client.
Are you
So I
making fun of the fact that you have hair and I don't?
no, I'm making fun of the fact that I use my own products. I drink my own Kool-Aid, if you will.
Okay, well, we're going to have Nathan listen because he may try to do the Pampalone test after listening to this.
Okay.
That's my producer, for those who don't know.
So the way that I do that is I basically work with people to really hone in on their brands. Like that's the first piece I believe is so important. And when we spend 5 days together, we're focusing one piece for each day. So we're getting really focused, not worrying about everything else until each piece is done. So the first day is branding. We create a brand, the logos, the colors, the collateral pieces, an ebook. We do all that together. The messaging is super important. Then once we do that, all the other pieces sort of fall into place. You have your second day with your website. Your third day is your 12 months of social media done and scheduled in the can, ready to go. 12 months of blog posts scheduled, done, and 12 months of email marketing also scheduled and done. So we try to get all of that done as quickly as possible because I find a lot of entrepreneurs, especially myself, we don't have time for that. We are too busy with clients. We're too busy with doing all the other things we have to do that marketing sometimes gets lost in the shuffle. And this kind of helps you not be able to let that go. It really brings it as part of your day-to-day system.
So can we get a little bit more specific, what you might do
Yeah.
for a typical client, or maybe you can use a real case? Give us a 5-day rollout plan and
Yeah, absolutely.
how we would see that ROI on that quickly.
So with the branding piece, like I said, that's the most important piece. And when we look at that, we're not just saying, oh yeah, I've got a logo, I'm good. I've got some colors, I'm good. We are actually looking at it from a perspective of what is your message? And a lot of people are not very clear on their message. They are worried about, social media. And that's what I find a lot of people, they say, well, social media is the most important. So I've got to start with that and just, focus on that only. But when you have a good brand and you can carry that through to your website, to your social media, etc., then everything else will fall into place and it'll be much easier. You won't be so laborious for all the other pieces. So with the branding, I ask 3 questions. I say, who are you? And a lot of people, they have a little hard time answering that question. So we do some exercises around that. And then I say, what do you do? And people go really in depth with this question. What do you do? They go very technical, but I try to keep it as simple as possible. And if you can get your what do you do in 3 to 5 words, that's the best. Being really clear, really simple. And some people think you're oversimplifying what I do. That's the point. We want to oversimplify it. We want to grab that person immediately. And this really gets to the heart of, you said ROI, gets to the heart of people resonating with your message immediately, instantaneously. So we know who you are now. We know what you do very simply. And who are you sharing it with? So many people also try to market to everyone or too large of a niche, and they don't actually focus down and bring themselves to a specific niche. And a lot of people think they're limiting themselves, they're ostracizing other parts of their base. No, you're actually focusing everyone else so that when you tell what you do, they can also go and tell others, and that word of mouth can be much clearer and much further reaching because they're able to say things really simply that you do to others. So having that niche is super important. So who are you, what do you do, and who are you sharing it with really is the crux of day one. We're really focusing all on that. And then of course, adding those, collateral pieces. When you have, you meet someone and they say, do you have a card? Even in this pandemic time, they say, do you have a card, or how can I reach you? You need to have that ready. You need to have that available. And it needs to be something that when they see it and they look at you and then they go to your website and then they look at social media that you've done, it all looks the same. It all looks like it goes together. And that's really where that branding day comes into play. So the ROI for the website day, for me, website is super, super important. This is your main piece. This is your showpiece. This is where the sales are going to happen. And if it's not correct, if you don't have calls to action, if you don't have stuff there for people to actually do, right? You have a website that's brochure. It doesn't know, I can't do anything on it, right? I can't book a call. I can't, contact you in any way. I'm just reading things. Then there's not really much point for me to be there. And so there's no conversion going to happen. So really the website day is going to give you that piece that's going to actually help people move forward in your process once they land there, whether it's through word of mouth or maybe through a social post or a blog or email that you sent.
Well, you asked, we've opened up a lot of questions in our limited amount of time. The first easy one, the easiest of all, you mentioned we a couple of times. Who's the we?
So it's me and the client. I actually work, it's a done with you service. I don't do anything where it's just, hey, you got this, you're on your own. I teach people how to do this so they can do it on their own if they wanted. But when I say we, I'm really talking about me and the client, because I believe that most services that are done for you, you never really learn the ins and outs of your own business, your own marketing. And it's not that you have to be an expert in all this. That's, that's why I do what I do. But you do want to know enough so that when you do hire someone later on or you go forward, you know enough to know if they're doing the job right.
So you say 1 year of marketing in 5 days. Are you talking about results or results plus things like website development and all the marketing tools and tactics all within 5 days will be redone and within the package that you're sort of marketing yourself?
Yeah, so the 5 days is something, like I said, you can do on your own. I teach people how to do this, or I can do it with a client, and I do this all the time. So the 5 days is creating that brand, all the collateral, all the the logos, all that stuff, redoing them if they need to be redone. The second day is building an entire website from scratch. The third day is creating 365 social media posts, written, scheduled, designed, done, like literally done. You're not creating a plan. It's done.
And since you're doing this virtually on your own, let's say you had multiple clients, you can do all that within that schedule. You don't have to delay some clients versus others.
So the one-on-one
And you're
sessions
not
I do,
unlimited.
the one-on-one sessions that I do, those are a full week, and that's, you get your weekend, that's one-on-one. But then I do teach this. I have courses on this where anybody could do this on their own if they wanted. But I do work with clients one-on-one, and this is, no, I'm not unlimited, but it's definitely something that some people need, the one-on-one. They want that extra help. They want my brain as part of their marketing system. But other people say, you know what, I think I could do this. Like, it sounds doable. And then they can just kind of take it on their own, which is also really awesome.
So I like to ask certain people like you to get in the Wayback Machine. Who is
Yes.
Elizabeth Pampalone? What's your marketing background? How did you get to this point?
Well, I've been designing websites since 2000. And back then I worked as an intern for several small businesses. And I really, I realized that I had all these ideas for them. And then they would look at me and go, no, that's not going to work. That's not really great. But the ones that took my ideas, they were really successful. And so I realized I had this little knack for marketing. And actually before that, my mom ran several small businesses when I was a kid, and I would help her to sell the items that she was selling or making. And it was just something that I just fell in love with. I loved persuading people to buy something, whether they knew they needed it or not. And not because they, I wasn't trying to persuade them to buy something they didn't need, but I was giving them those reasons, right? Me coming up with those reasons, figuring out why they bought something or why they didn't buy something. And I just loved that as a kid. And so I kind of brought that into my, teen years and my college years. And then when I went to make my own businesses, I realized that it was just kind of like in my blood now. And I could do that really easily. And so now I like to share those tactics with others.
That's very nice. Elizabeth, if somebody wanted to connect with you, learn more about your packages, I assume you have a good website, and find out what you're doing at Absolute Marketing, how would they find you?
They can go to getabsolutemarketing.com, and we have a free community where I teach a lot of stuff for free. I have a lot of resources there, and all my ebooks are free as well. So if they want to check any of that out, you can go to getabsolutemarketing.com.
Wonderful. And great having you on the show today. And I want to thank you. Maybe you'll come back again through the year and talk about certain cases and give us more of a sense of how people can adapt and change to this economy. Remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs, and my name is Jeffrey Davis, and I'm the host. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more stories.